three people walked into the Kiamichi Mountains in October 2009. A husband, a wife, their 6-year-old daughter. Their truck was found on a remote dirt road. Engine off, keys inside, phones inside, $400 cash in the glove box. The family dog still alive, nearly starved, tied to the bumper. No signs of struggle, no blood, no tracks leading away. Bobby, Sherilyn, and Madison Jamison simply stopped existing somewhere between their truck and the tree line. In 1988, a young woman in New Mexico set off on her morning bicycle ride along a highway she had ridden dozens of times before. She never came home. No body, no bicycle, no witnesses. A year later, a Polaroid photograph surfaced in a Florida parking lot. A young woman bound and blindfolded in the back of a van. Her mother identified her immediately. The photograph has never been explained. Amy Bradley disappeared from a Royal Caribbean cruise ship somewhere in the Caribbean in March 1998. She was last seen at 5:30 in the morning on the ship's deck. She has since been reported alive in brothels, in hotels, on Caribbean streets by multiple credible witnesses over 2 decades. She has never been found. 3 cases, 3 families, 3 disappearances that broke every rule investigators thought they knew. Tonight we examine them all. Let's begin with the family whose final photograph told investigators almost nothing and haunts everyone who sees it. Bobby Jamison was 44 years old. His wife Sherilyn was 40. Their daughter Madison was 6. They lived in Eufaula, Oklahoma, a small town of about 12,000 people in the eastern part of the state. On October 8, 2009, the family drove into the Kiamichi Mountains near Red Oak, Oklahoma. Their stated purpose, according to later investigation, was to look at a piece of land Bobby was considering purchasing. 13 days later, their truck was discovered on a remote dirt road in the mountains, approximately 8 miles from the nearest town. The discovery was immediately disturbing. Inside the truck, all 3 of their phones, Bobby's wallet, Sherilyn's purse, $400 in cash, the family's GPS device, outside the truck tied to the bumper, their red border collie mix, Maisie. She was alive but severely malnourished, suggesting the family had been gone nearly the entire 13 days since they were reported missing. Law enforcement launched an extensive search of the surrounding mountains. Helicopters, search dogs, volunteer groups combing the dense woodland terrain. Nothing. No footprints leading away from the truck. No disturbed vegetation indicating direction of travel. No clothing. No blood. No evidence of any altercation at or near the vehicle. The $400 in cash became one of the most puzzling details. The family was in significant financial difficulty at the time. Bankruptcy proceedings were underway. The money appeared to be payment of some kind. But for what? To whom? Investigators recovered surveillance footage from a gas station the family had stopped at on their way into the mountains. The footage, later widely circulated online, shows Bobby and Sherilyn walking to and from their truck in a slow, almost zombie-like manner. Neither looks directly at the other. Neither speaks. Their movements are mechanical, disconnected. Investigators who viewed the footage noted the behavior was highly unusual. Some speculated drug influence. Others suggested psychological disturbance. Their pastor later came forward to reveal that Sherilyn had recently told him she believed the family was under spiritual attack, that something was following them and watching their home. Among the items in the truck, investigators found a note written by Sherilyn. The contents were never fully disclosed to the public, but investigators described it as disturbing, referencing spiritual warfare, persecution, and fear. Bobby had separately told friends in the weeks before the disappearance that he was receiving death threats related to a land dispute. He claimed someone wanted him dead over a property boundary conflict. For 4 years, the Jamison family was simply missing. Then in November 2013, deer hunters in Latimer County, Oklahoma, approximately 2.5 miles from where the truck had been found, discovered skeletal remains. DNA testing confirmed all 3, Bobby, Sherilyn, and Madison, but the discovery answered nothing. The remains were too decomposed for forensic pathology to determine cause of death. No trauma to surviving bone, no foreign objects, no physical evidence of how they died. The manner of death for all three was officially ruled undetermined. The location of the remains was particularly baffling. The area had been searched multiple times in 2009 and 2010. Experienced search teams with trained dogs had covered that exact terrain. How the remains were not found during those searches, in an area 2.5 miles from the truck, has never been satisfactorily explained. The Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation continues to list the case as open. No arrests have ever been made. No cause of death determined. No explanation offered. Bobby, Sherilyn, and Madison Jamison walked away from their truck in October 2009. Their remains were found 4 years later 2.5 miles away, and no one knows what happened in between. From a family who vanished into mountains, to a young woman who vanished on a road she knew by heart, Tara Lee Calico was 19 years old. She was a sophomore at the University of New Mexico Valencia campus, studying business. She was athletic, outgoing, and known for cycling the same 35-mile route along Highway 47 near her home in Belen, New Mexico, almost every day. On September 20, 1988, at approximately 9:30 in the morning, Tara left her home for her regular bicycle ride. She was listening to a cassette tape on a portable player as she rode. Her mother, Patty Dole, was concerned about traffic on Highway 47. Large trucks used the road frequently. She and Tara had an arrangement. If Tara wasn't home by noon, Patty would come looking for her. Noon came. Tara didn't return. Patty drove the route herself. No sign of Tara, no bicycle on the road, no evidence of an accident, no tire marks indicating a vehicle had left the road suddenly. Nothing. By afternoon, Tara Calico was officially reported missing. Investigators searched Highway 47 and surrounding areas extensively. What they found was limited: a fragment of a cassette tape, the same brand Tara used, along a section of the highway. Part of a Sony Walkman case that matched the player she carried. Nothing else. No witnesses came forward initially. No one reported seeing a young woman on a bicycle that morning, despite the road being regularly traveled. Interviews with residents along Highway 47 produced no useful information. For a year, the case stalled. Then, in June 1989, 9 months after Tara's disappearance, a Polaroid photograph was found in a convenience store parking lot in Port St. Joe, Florida, nearly 1,500 miles from New Mexico. The photograph showed two people in the back of what appeared to be a van or motor home, bound with rope, their mouths covered with tape. One was a young woman. The other appeared to be a teenage boy. Both were lying on a mattress. A copy of a V.C. Andrews novel was visible beside them. Patty Dole was shown the photograph. She identified the young woman as her daughter Tara immediately, citing a distinctive scar on Tara's leg from a previous accident. The scar appeared to be visible in the photograph. The FBI analyzed the photograph. Their conclusion: the image had not been manipulated or altered. It was a genuine Polaroid photograph. But they could not definitively confirm the woman was Tara Calico. The image quality and angle made positive identification impossible by forensic standards. The boy in the photograph was separately identified by another family as potentially Michael Henley, a 9-year-old New Mexico boy who had gone missing in April 1988, 5 months before Tara, while on a camping trip with his father in the Zuni Mountains. Michael's remains were found in the mountains in 1990, with cause of death determined as exposure. He had apparently become lost and died from the elements. This complicated the Polaroid identification. If the boy was Michael Henley, he had died in the mountains, not in a van. Either the boy in the photograph wasn't Michael Henley, or the identification was wrong. A second Polaroid, similar in nature, was found later in another location. The FBI treated both as material evidence. Multiple suspects were investigated over the years. Residents along Highway 47 were questioned repeatedly. A man who lived along Tara's route was considered a person of interest but never charged. Patty Dole spent decades advocating for her daughter's case. She maintained a public presence, appeared on television programs, and pushed for continued investigation until her death in 2019. She never stopped believing Tara was taken by someone on that highway in September 1988. Tara Calico has never been found. The Polaroid photograph remains unresolved evidence. The man who left it in that Florida parking lot has never been identified. And somewhere between her front door and her familiar route home, Tara Calico disappeared, leaving behind only a torn cassette tape and one photograph that may or may not show her alive, 9 months later, 1,500 miles away. From a highway in New Mexico to the middle of the Caribbean Ocean, where a young woman vanished from a ship surrounded by thousands of people. Amy Lynn Bradley was 23 years old. She was from Chesterfield County, Virginia, an athletic, sociable young woman who had just graduated college and was working as a fitness instructor. In March 1998, she joined her family, her parents Ron and Eva and her brother Brad, on a Royal Caribbean cruise aboard the Rhapsody of the Seas, sailing through the southern Caribbean. The cruise departed from San Juan, Puerto Rico on March 22, 1998. By all accounts, Amy had a wonderful first night. She spent the evening socializing, dancing, and enjoying the cruise with her family. She met and socialized with members of a band playing on the ship, a reggae group called Blue Orchid. Security footage captured her with band members in the early morning hours. At approximately 5:30 a.m. on March 24th, Amy's father Ron woke up briefly and saw Amy on the balcony of their cabin. She appeared fine. He went back to sleep. When the family woke up around 6:00 a.m., Amy was gone. She had not taken her passport, had not taken her medication which she needed, had not taken her ticket, her money, or any personal identification. Her shoes were still in the cabin. The ship was scheduled to dock at Curacao that morning. Ron and Eva Bradley immediately alerted ship security. A thorough search of the vessel was conducted. Amy was not on board. When the ship docked at Curacao, the Bradleys went directly to authorities. Local police were contacted. The FBI was eventually brought in. What followed was one of the most extensively investigated maritime disappearances in American history, and one of the most frustrating. Ship security footage was reviewed. The last confirmed footage of Amy showed her with Blue Orchid band members in the early morning hours. A band member named Yolanda, later questioned extensively, claimed Amy had gone to her cabin and nothing unusual happened. This account was disputed. Sightings began almost immediately. Within weeks of her disappearance, a Canadian couple vacationing in Curacao reported seeing a young woman matching Amy's description being escorted by 2 men along a beach. When they called out to her, one of the men gripped her arm and hurried her away. In 1999, a U.S. Navy sailor stationed in Curacao reported seeing a young woman matching Amy's description in a local brothel. He stated she had grabbed his arm and said, "I'm Amy Bradley. Please help me. Please get the American Embassy." He was escorted out before he could respond further. He reported the encounter to authorities. Investigators found no trace of Amy at the establishment. In 2005, 7 years after her disappearance, a woman contacted the Bradley family claiming she had been approached online by a man who sent her explicit photographs. The photographs showed a woman she believed was Amy Bradley based on distinctive tattoos, a sun tattoo on her ankle, and a Tasmanian devil tattoo on her shoulder. The Bradleys confirmed the tattoos matched Amy's exactly. The photographs were submitted to the FBI. Investigators could not confirm the identity. The theory that Amy was taken off the ship and forced into human trafficking in the Caribbean has been advanced by multiple investigators, including former FBI agents who worked the case. The Caribbean at that time, and continuing to the present, had documented networks of organized trafficking operating in tourist destinations. But no arrest has ever been made. No confirmed sighting has ever been verified. Amy Bradley would be 49 years old today. Ron and Eva Bradley continued searching for decades. The FBI has never closed the case. It remains one of the most high-profile unsolved disappearances connected to suspected human trafficking in American history. She was on a ship, surrounded by passengers, crew, and cameras. She stepped onto a balcony at 5:30 in the morning. And then she was gone. The Jamison family left their truck running, their dog tied outside, and $400 on the seat. Their remains were found 4 years later, less than 3 miles away. No cause of death, no explanation. Tara Calico rode a road she knew by heart. 9 months later, a photograph appeared 1,500 miles away that may show her alive and bound in a van. The person who left it was never found. Amy Bradley walked onto a balcony at dawn. She's been reported alive in the Caribbean multiple times across 25 years. She has never been brought home. 3 disappearances, 3 families still waiting. Here is what connects them. In every case, investigators had evidence, physical evidence, photographic evidence, witness testimony, and in every case, that evidence led nowhere. That's not incompetence. That's something more disturbing. It means whoever is responsible knew exactly what they were doing. If you know anything about any of these cases, drop it in the comments. Cold cases have been solved by single tips from people who didn't think their memory was relevant. Share this with someone who follows true crime. These families deserve more eyes on their cases. Subscribe to WhisprFrame for more documented disappearances, where the evidence exists, but the answers don't. Because somewhere tonight, these 3 cases remain open. The Jamison file, the Calico file, the Bradley file. Unsolved, unforgotten, and still waiting.